Hi, welcome to part 1 of the tutorial for how to build an online writing portfolio. This tutorial is primarily designed for my composition students through the University of Hawaii system. However, this can also be adapted for use by other composition teachers and students as well. So just ignore the references to Hawaii. So number 1, you need to have a Gmail account, which means you should have it pretty professional. You want to try and avoid Jellybean Princess number 5 or, ironic mustache at gmail.com. Those probably aren't that professional unless you're specifically going into an area like creative writing or like the entertainment industry. Something like that would be appropriate there, but in most other circumstances, not so much. So all you need to do is start at Google. You can Google Sites. This is the WYSIWYG application that we'll be using to build our website. But if you have the ribbon, you can also go from here. Sometimes it shows up here. Sometimes it'll show up in the Even More option under your Office tools. But, Googling it is pretty quick too. Okay, so I'm actually already signed in. You can see that I followed my own advice, TanyaS.Torres. Very simple, easy to use for a professional circumstance. So you guys, unless you've used this before, this is going to be blank for you, but I've used it several times. So you're going to go over to Create. And that concludes our introduction. My next tutorial will take up how to select a template, because selecting your template at this stage is really, really important. Because once you've settled on a template, there are some things you won't be able to change about it unless you're in this specific part of the screen. So here's where you figure out your color schemes, things like that, layout, your background picture, how big you want your headings to be. All of those things can be determined from the templates or from your blank template, but a lot of those decisions have to be made in the creation page stage. So it is really important to think about that. You will need to name your site, and whatever you name your site, there's going to be a version of it that appears in this box here as part of your URL address. So make sure that you're naming your site professionally, right? So-and-so's writing portfolio. If that's not available because someone else has done something to that effect already, you might have to try a couple different combinations before you find one that nobody else has used before. But again, you want to stay away from anything too funky unless you're specifically going into a professional area that would be open to that kind of writing. So remember, this is about thinking rhetorically, thinking about your audience, thinking about their expectations, and that's going to help you determine what kind of name would be appropriate for your site, what kind of purposes you'll be using it for, and all that fun stuff. So once you've selected the name for your website and it's accepted by Google Sites, that will, it'll let you finish registering. Now, if you finish all of this and it bounces you back to this page, it means you might have filled in something incorrectly, or it'll mean that your site was not approved, so you'll need to come up with an alternative name. So I'll take you through getting started in this particular page in the next tutorial, so follow me in part 2.